There's 5 main reasons why you need to focus on developing and building your glutes. 5 reasons that if you do this glute development, you are going to love us forever. These top 5 reasons are wrapping up our 3-part series of developing your glutes. We are fortunate in this series to be joined by the Queen of Glutes herself, Shelby Castleton. And hey, listeners, I want to put a plug in here for this masterclass that we have collaborated with Shelby on. If you go to our website, evolve-cast.com, you're going to be able to see the masterclass, get access to this, and learn how to really develop the glutes of your dreams. That perfect peach, I think, is Shelby likes to call it. Is that right, Shelby? The plump peach, the perfect peach. The way you say it is way better than I do. Say that again.
It's all you have to be confident when you say it.
Well, and you like throw your shoulder up and
Yeah,
you
gotta
go
be kind
high.
of cute, kind of flirty.
Yeah, that's not me. But say it again for our listeners.
If you want to build that perfect peach,
Yeah.
follow.
And we've got that on one of our social media posts that may have led you to this episode. So you can see Shelby says perfect peach way better than I do. So top 5 reasons to build your glutes. This wraps up our 3-part series. Number 1 reason to build your glute is if you have low back pain, you need to develop your glutes. Shelby, why is this so important?
This is so important because back pain, number 1, is the worst. And we use our glutes for literally every movement that we do.
Yep.
If we're walking, if you have strong glutes or you're building them, you will notice when you're walking, your glutes fire more and working more. When you're lifting things, like just picking things up off the floor, if you have kids, picking up your kids, nobody wants low back pain when you have babies. That's the worst because you're carrying them around all day long. There's so many different movements that you do that you don't realize your glutes, sprinting, running, like I said, walking, all of that you use your glutes to do. So if you have stronger glutes, your other muscles are not going to be working as hard, and that pain should hopefully, obviously pain comes and goes and different things can affect pain, but with nice strong glutes, we can avoid that pain from having weak glutes.
And this is everybody. I mean, there was a study that came out about 20 years ago that where researchers put some nodes on people to determine when you initiated a biceps curl. So when you're doing a curl, which muscles fire first? And the muscles that fire first are the deep low back muscles, the multifidus. And so what happens is if I don't have great strong glutes, my multifidus, these muscles that sit right along my spine, and then my spinal erectors start to stiffen up. And if those things tighten and I don't have support from below the hip in the glute medius, the glute minimus, the glute max, then what's going to happen is all the pressure is going to just go directly into my lower back. Now, again, remember, this is studies with looking at what muscle fires in what order when you do a biceps curl. So guys, when it's National Chest and Biceps Day on Monday and you're going in and you're doing your chest and biceps and you're doing curls for the girls, you've got to understand if you don't have great glutes, you're putting a lot of pressure into that lower back. And so glute development is critical for this.
Exactly.
Shelby, tell to our listeners, if somebody's got some low back pain, how did they start to work through the glute development so that they can get out of that low back pain? What do you recommend for them?
So I really recommend first looking at your form when it comes to your lower body days that you're doing. A lot of times people will, especially when they're squatting, they'll do an anterior pelvic tilt, so which is hyperextending their back. And we do not want that, especially when we're squatting, when we're doing these movements. We don't want, so just imagine someone hyperextending their back, pushing their butt out. We don't want that. We want a posterior tilt. So we want to bring that pelvis in, and that's really going to keep a nice neutral spine and protect our lower back. So really bracing that core, that's a huge one too. Bracing your core, posterior pelvic tilt, that's really going to help. So make sure when you're becoming more serious about lifting that you have that education and and you can find this all over. It doesn't mean you have to spend a ton of money, but just being aware and knowing proper form is huge. And then making sure as we're trying to build the glutes that we're doing the correct exercises. And like we went into on a previous episode, those horizontal movements, those vertical movements, and those lateral movements, making sure we're hitting all points of the glutes. That's really going to help build out nice, strong, athletic glutes.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, to talk a little bit of anatomy, even for listeners who don't understand the anatomy. You've seen a leg bone and you've seen the ball joint of that leg bone as it comes up into the hip. It's round. Your hip joint is round. That means that you have to think about all of the different movements that the leg and the hip do together, right? So one of the craziest things that I've seen over the last several years as people have exploded on social media is this debate between what's the best exercise for glutes. It's RDLs. No, it's Romanian, or it's Bulgarian split squats. There is no one best exercise for glutes because your glutes need all of these different vectors of training in order to develop a full glute so that you're strong and you can stabilize and you don't, your pain or the pressure's not going directly into your lower back. So I think it's important to remember rotational movement, full range of movement, proper vectors is critical. And we talked about that in the first part of our glute series. So top 5 reasons to build your glutes. Number 1 is to address any low back pain. Number 2, this is one that I don't think it's talked about enough, is building that beautiful hourglass figure for women or for men, building out what we call the X shape. So a lot of guys will talk about that V taper. Do my shoulders come down to my waist? But if you really want a great symmetrical development, you're looking at an X. You want to have great shoulder lat development that comes down to the small waistline, and then it goes back out on the glutes and the quads and then back down again, right? So you're creating this X shape. For women, it's that beautiful hourglass. How does building out the glutes help to develop the hourglass?
So building out the glutes is really going to help with that lower part of that hourglass. You can kind of go into more if you want to, building out your back and your lats and that upper part of that hourglass. And then really the glutes, it's just going to give you that nice, the curves that you want. That shelf that all the women talk about, they want to build that shelf. So it just gives you that look that, and there are ways, like a lot of women are so worried, like, oh, well, I'm going to have massive quads and hamstrings and my legs are going to get huge too, but that's not, if that's the look you like, then great, you can go ahead and we can do that. But that's not going to be the case if you're just trying to build your glutes. And there are a lot of exercises that do really focus on the glutes and don't put as much emphasis on the quads and the hamstrings.
Yeah.
So
I think it's important, whether you're a woman trying to build your hourglass or a guy trying to build that X shape and get that V taper, you have to understand that if you don't have great glute development, it's going to affect everything else. As your glutes develop, you're going to start to develop a stronger, tighter midsection as well. Because in order to do the glute training the right way, you've got to be able to stabilize with, all of your abdominal and oblique muscles. There is no way for you to develop your glutes without developing great core muscles. Now,
right.
If you are one of these guys and you're thinking, oh, but I want bigger shoulders, I want bigger lats, great, develop your glutes. Because in order to do the upper body movements that you need to, let's say that you really want to develop amazing shoulders. Well, you have to be able to lift great weight. And if you're doing lateral raises the right way, you need glutes that are going to stabilize you as you come into that lateral movement. If you want to develop great lats and you are doing a bent over barbell row, well, your glutes have to be there to stabilize you. The other thing that I think is really important is glute development helps you to build out this hourglass, or it helps you to build out your X shape, because your body responds to bigger muscle training with a response to an increase in growth hormone after really intense bouts of training with these bigger muscles. So if I'm training my forearms, my body's not going to respond and pump my growth hormone up. But if I'm training glutes really hard, then I do have a spike typically in growth hormone post-workout. And growth hormone's like your number one hormone that you're trying to stimulate in the body, because it helps you to build your muscle and get lean all at the same time. So you train your glutes to train the rest of your body. All right, here we go. We've got number one and number
Really
two.
fast.
Oh, yes.
With that, I was just going to say too, when you were talking about the nice tight core, that's huge, because a lot of women, they think they need to do specific core days or ab days, and they will go crazy with crunches and sit-ups and all these things.
Yes.
And honestly, I don't do core workouts or any type of sit-ups, but if you are lifting heavy and you're doing those, those main movements and you're bracing your core correctly, every movement is a core workout.
Yep.
You should be bracing. I like to tell my clients, okay, we work on our breathing, that kind of stuff. I teach them that, but then also with the bracing, pretend like I'm about to punch you as hard as I can in your stomach. Like, brace those muscles. When you're going to do a squat, you're going to brace, and then we're going to, breathe, do all of that, and then do the squat. So really, especially with squatting, that's a great one. You're going to feel it in your core as well. And so those main lifts and those main movements, you don't have to kill yourself with core movements and that kind of stuff. And some people, a lot of women want those abs, and a lot of time, like, just doing sit-ups and crunches, that's not going to get you the abs that you want. Doing those main lifts, making sure, some people are just genetically blessed with, they can be at maintenance, they can be in a little bit of a surplus, and you can still visibly see abs, where some people, they have to cut so low and just be in a deficit to get those abs. And honestly, some people, that's their goal, and that's great. But you kind of get to this point where you're like, okay, it's not about the abs. It's about being strong. It's about, that hourglass figure. And so just wanted to throw that out there, that don't kill yourself with that, wanting that nice tight core with sit-ups and crunches and obliques, all of that. Like, that's not always the best way to go about it.
Yeah, because you do develop that core by doing the heavy work. That's a great point. One of my early mentors in this space was Charles Poliquin. And, he was considered to be probably the top strength coach in the world up until he passed away. He rarely had people do specific core work through deadlift, squatting, glute work, all of that. Their core development was so powerful that he could get people doing crazy stuff with their core without even training the core directly, because they were training in, just the heavy work along the way. And I think that's a critical piece, which also helps to build that hourglass figure. You see, when you look in the mirror, what you're doing to determine, do you have this hourglass figure, is it's not just do you have a small waistline, but is it a small waistline that extends out then to these curves in the glutes, extends up to the lats. And so when a lot of people look at themselves and they say, I don't like the way my stomach looks, or I don't like the way my abs are, well, as soon as you start developing your lats, your shoulders, and your glutes, all of a sudden your core tightens up a little bit more, and you don't even necessarily have to lose any body fat in order to see the shape that you're looking for, because it's all about the relationship between those different body parts. Some people, when they start to lose weight, as just a side note, they will lose more body fat from the upper part of their body. They'll lose body fat from the knees up, and then the midsection just kind of is the last for body fat to go. And so if you want to not have this, oh, my core looks like it's getting fatter as I lose body fat, feeling, then build the glutes, because you won't go through that kind of awkward, I look skinny fat stage. You are actually just going to be strong. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's a great point. Hey guys, it's Steve. I just wanted to take a quick break and introduce you to our Evolve Your Glutes Master Course. This is our brand new course that we have loaded on our website. You can find it at evolve-cast.com. What is this? Well, this is a master course that will take you through all of the steps, the programming, the exercises, everything you need in order to build your best glutes. We make it simple, and we take all of the guesswork out of building your glutes. In the Evolve Your Glutes Master Course, you get customized videos that show you how to set up, do the exercise properly, and prevent against injury. You see, there are a million exercises out there. It's not the exercises that get you to the glutes you want. It's the right exercises in the right order at the right time over the course of 12 weeks. Click the link in the show notes and get your Evolve Your Glutes Master Course today. And now, back to the show. All right, so we've got number 1 and number 2 down of our top 5 reasons to build your glutes. Number 3 is building your glutes just gets you strong. And it gets you strong on all of your lifts. Talk about how your glute development has made you so strong in everything you do, Shelby.
Yeah, so it really has. It's been amazing because we've talked about in the past, even, for everyone, glute development, that's going to strengthen all aspects of your life, help with any pain, that kind of stuff. Obviously, when you have pain, you're not going to be lifting as heavy, so it takes care of that. But all of my lifts, once I started hip thrusting, that's when I noticed, my squat going up a ton, my deadlifts going up a ton. And I wouldn't even do those movements regularly, but just hip thrusting alone, my deadlift went up a bunch, my squat went up a bunch. It's really going to help in all aspects. And honestly, your glutes are attached to so many muscles, like you're saying, your back muscles, all of that. Yeah. So once you have nice, strong glutes, your pull downs, your presses, everything is just going to feel stronger. And you're going to notice, being able to increase the weight.
Yeah. You want a strong back, build strong glutes.
Yes.
The way the glutes come up and tie into that thoracolumbar fascia, the big fascia that runs across everybody's back, that then ties into the lats, that then attaches to the arm, like
the biceps, it's incredible. When you look at it, just the connection that the glutes, they connect to everything.
Yeah, I always, one thing that I stole from a mentor of mine is you can't shoot a cannon out of a rowboat. And so if you take a cannon, put it in a rowboat, the rowboat is too small. As soon as that cannon goes, you can shoot it once and it's going to sink the rowboat. The cannon has to be bolted to the ground in order for it to continue to fire these cannonballs out of it. So the glutes are locking in your strength for everything else. You want to be powerful in everything else, develop your glutes. All right, we've done number 1, 2, and 3. Coming into number 4 of our top 5 reasons to build the glutes is developing your confidence and your posture. Shelby, why is the glute development so important for confidence and posture?
It is so fun to see clients, like, before they'll kind of joke about their glutes or be embarrassed and stuff, but then it's really fun to see them, really starting to notice themselves, and they'll start taking gym selfies and just feeling a lot more confident. And it's just so fun because it really changes so much about you. They're more outgoing and they just have that confidence, and you can see it. And it's amazing that strength training can do that for someone. And so having, because that's the goal, is we want that hourglass figure. We want bigger glutes. For a lot of people, that's their goal. Some people not, and that's okay. But for those who have that, and glute training is hard. It's a lot of work. Yeah. And so when you start seeing the growth, and you see how hard you're working, and, a lot of meal prepping and making sure you're eating enough calories, because that can be difficult too. And just seeing that work, it just makes you so proud of yourself. And it just really builds your confidence. And it, as far as like the posture part, when you're more confident, you're walking a little taller. Sometimes you'll see people kind of like, they don't feel super confident in the gym. They kind of seem small. But once you get really confident and you're feeling better about yourself and you're just feeling more confident in the gym, they just, there's a presence about them, and they just walk a little taller, a little more athletic. And it's just really, it's fun to see as a trainer, and it's fun to see as a friend of someone. So
yeah, you bring up as we were talking about this before we got into the recording, I love that you brought up confidence and posture, and that ultimately this changes the body language, right? So confidence is something that essentially there's three inputs to confidence. There's how you think, there's what you say, and then how you move. And you can work in confidence from all three of those areas. What a lot of people think is going to happen is they're going to wake up one day and they're just immediately going to be confident because they think themselves to confidence. But you can also work it from the other end. If you change your body's posture, if you change the way that you show up and present physically, automatically you're sending a signal not just to the world, but to yourself that you are a confident person. So if I'm standing, I tighten my glutes, I've got great glute development, and it puts me back into this great posture, shoulders are back, chest is up, automatically I start to feel more confident. Yeah. In fact, I was giving a lecture to a group recently where I had them stand up and I said, show me what sadness and depression looks like. Show me what anxiety looks like. Show me what confidence looks like. Everybody, when they go into the confident posture, they tighten the glutes, abs are in, shoulders are back, chest is out. And I said, now how does it feel? And they're like, oh, I actually feel better. So as you develop your glutes, you will automatically go into this more confident posture on a regular basis.
Yeah. And it's not always a physical thing too. Like there'll be days where I go into the gym and I'm not feeling myself. I'm feeling a little down about myself, whatever. My hair's not working, whatever. But, I put my headphones in, I get to work, and just knowing like, yeah, I just squatted over 200, or I hip thrust almost 500 pounds. Like it makes me feel like such a badass that like, I just feel so good about myself. And I'm like, I don't care that my hair isn't like I have people like commenting on how strong I am. And that's my main goal. It didn't start out as I want to look a certain way. I just wanted to be strong. And then once I started getting strong in hip thrusts, okay, what more can I do? Can I, like, the goals are just, there's so many that you can do. And the possibilities are endless as far as strength. And so it doesn't even have to be this whole physical thing. It can also be the confidence in yourself that like, holy crap, I can do that. Like, that's incredible. Not everyone can do this. And I put in the work and I'm proud of myself. So I think that's a huge part of it too.
There you have it, listeners. Building your glutes, building your confidence fixes bad hair days.
It fixes, yes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter.
I love that. All right, 1 through 4 are under the belt. Now we're going into 5. And you referenced this in your last comment about that when we build confidence, we build posture, we move in a more athletic way. Top 5 reasons. Number 5 is that when we have strong glutes, we move in a more athletic way. We are all athletes. And we have to start shifting towards that mentality of being an athlete. If you are a mom carrying around a baby in a carrier, you're an athlete. You are carrying a heavy and progressively heavier little load for a long period of time. You are an athlete. You're moving, you're bending, you're twisting, you are walking, you're going upstairs, you're doing all the things that athletes do. So talk about how glute development makes us more athletic.
Yeah, so kind of like how I referenced in the beginning, even things as far as like walking, squatting to pick something up. If you're a runner, you'll notice a difference in your running, your speed, your distance. All of that can come back to glute training. I never really, I played sports growing up, whatever, but I wouldn't consider myself super athletic. Like I'd always be like, oh, I'm not really, an athlete. But then once I get into the gym, hell yeah, I'm an athlete. Like 100%, we all are. We're doing incredible things. And even outside of it, like as a mom, picking up my kids or lifting heavy things for them, or sometimes you just got to move the furniture around. And it's so fun to be like, Jake will come home and be like, what the hell? Like, what did you just do? I'm like, I did it. It's fine. I can do it by myself. No big deal.
I was deadlifting the couch. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
The couch on my back. It's fine.
I needed the workout. And so I put the chairs on top of the couch and kept lifting.
Exactly.
I have a glute pump now.
Yeah. The pump is unreal. So we're all, like you said, we're all athletes, and even, picking up toys with your toes and grabbing it. Like that's just something. And
say that 10 times.
That's a mouthful.
Toys with your toes.
Toys with your toes. Yeah. So it's just fun. And then once you kind of get in that mind shift, it's like, you're like, oh yeah, I am an athlete, and there's so much more like I can do than I ever thought that I could.
Yeah. Beautiful way of putting it. Well, listeners, there you have it. Our top 5 reasons to build your glutes. Number 1, it's going to help you to fix your low back pain and or prevent any low back pain. Number 2, it's going to help you to build your hourglass or your X-shaped figure if you're a man. Number 3, it's going to develop your strength overall and will make you an overall stronger person in every lift. Number 4, it affects your confidence, your posture, and your body language and how you show up and present to life. And finally, as we just discussed, the number 5 reason is it will make you more athletic and you will move in a much more athletic way. So there you have it, folks. We have wrapped up this 3-part series of glute development with the Queen of Glutes herself, Shelby Castleton. We want to thank you, our listeners, for going through this 3-part series with us. And if you want to learn more, jump on our website at evolve-cast.com, where you can get specialized instruction from the Queen of Glutes, where we have our master class series on developing your glutes. And this is where you can dig deeper, learn how to do the exercises the right way so that you can develop that, as Shelby calls it, juicy peach. We're going to have you say it, Shelby.
Brother Juicy Peach.
There we go. Well, Shelby, thanks again for collaborating with us on all of this content. You truly are the Queen of Glutes and are doing some great work helping people to build their lower body, build confidence, and just show up in a better way. Any last minute thoughts or tips for our listeners?
No, I just appreciate you having me on, and I'm excited to just help women become stronger. And it's so fun to get in there and just see the weight go up, and it's super fun. And if you're not going to regret doing it. So that's what I always say. I can feel like I'm not feeling going in and working out. There's those days where you're just tired, but I've never regretted going in and getting my workout in. So
yeah, just show up. Love that.
What?
Well, thank you again, Shelby. And hey, our listeners, do me a favor, jump on, check out the masterclass series. Go follow Shelby on her Instagram, which we will link in the show notes below. Thanks again for joining us. And now it's time for you to get out there and evolve. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Evolve Podcast. Follow us on your favorite podcast app. And if you haven't done so, please give us a rating. As an independent podcast, it really helps us get more reach. This podcast is part of our mission to help millions of people evolve into the best versions of themselves. Please check out our coaching services at evolve-cast.com or pick up some of our Evolve merch. Until next time, keep evolving.